Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. It's nice to be out again in public a little bit, see some faces. So I've been trapped in my office, at my home office, for about the last 6 months. So it's nice to get out and play and travel, visit with people for a change. This presentation is Accreditation Step One, physical inventory of equipment. I'll touch on this a little while later, but back in 2017 at Amy in Austin, I sat in with George Mills for the Joint Commission, his presentation, and he was talking about the 100% that you need to maintain your equipment, and the record that the Joint Commission looks for is 100% of equipment. And he kept saying the first thing you need to do is get an inventory of your equipment, know what you have. So our company performs physical inventories of equipment, so I thought this is a good thing to kind of get out there, perform physical inventory, know what you have before you even start getting ready for your Joint Commission audit. As Jamie said, I'm Tim Michener. I'm Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Asset Services. We're located in the Kansas City area. Been with the company for about 12 years now. Prior to that, I was in the Navy for 12 years as an in-flight communicator on surveillance planes. And did a little consulting for JD Edwards, did some training, consulting, things of that nature prior to work for Asset Services. Basically, this presentation is a little bit of a why, what, where, when, and who for performing physical inventories, and then we'll get into some how, best practices that we've seen, so your organization can perform your inventories and know what to prepare for if you're going to do a physical inventory of your entire facility. Learning objectives, we're required to put some learning objectives up here, so state reasons why you should perform an equipment inventory, identify what pieces of equipment should be included in the inventory, state where the inventory should occur within your organization, when the inventory should occur, so there's kind of a couple of different when's, frequency of performing inventory, and period of time to complete. We'll also identify entities that need inventories, identify the best resource for performing the inventory, and then state best practices, which is probably the meat and potatoes. What we want to cover is how you go about getting this complete. There's basically three typical drivers for an organization to contact somebody or to perform a physical inventory. If you're going to implement a CMMS or do asset management application, good time to get an inventory when you're doing that. Outsourcing and clinical engineering management. So if a firm is coming in to take over the clinical engineering at a facility, it's a good time for them and the organization to have an inventory of what equipment they have on hand. And most of the time what we hear is an organization has a discrepancy between their asset list and what they currently have on hand. So they can't find a lot of equipment. They're looking for it's on their CMMS. They just can't find the equipment. So going into a little bit about each of those. If you're an organization that's putting in a new CMMS application, you want to know what's in that application. You want to know what you've got in the hospital or in your facility before you go live with this new CMMS, or if you're switching CMMS. If you take the same data from your old management application and just drop it into the new CMMS application, you're going to run into some of the same issues you have now. So if you've got items that you've never been able to find, you've got unable to locate equipment, you put all of that into the new CMMS, you're still going to be unable to locate it. So go through, do a full inventory, physically touch each item, find it, and then upload that into your CMMS. The other thing is, if you're a CMMS organization, you really want to take the data from the hospital, the old system, and drop it into your new system and think that it's going to be right. We typically see somewhere between 25 to 30% blows on any CMMS ledger or asset ledger, which is equipment that they haven't seen in the last couple of years. They don't have any organization. If you're going to outsource a CE, your CE management, or if you're a firm that does CE management And we work with some firms that one company's taking over that has been outsourced for years, and another company won the contract, and they're coming in to take over the management of the BIOMED job. Are you going to trust what equipment they have based on the current list they have? Because the CE management firms are going to base how they're going to man, what resources they're going to assign to their, based on their skill set of what equipment the facility has. So they can take the word of the hospital or the outgoing CE management firm, or they can come in and have an inventory completed ahead of time and then know exactly what equipment they've got by model number for them. This is what we see most of the time. Healthcare facility will say, I haven't done inventory in 10 years. Don't know what I have. I went got dental last night. Okay, 1,000 infusion pumps in this hospital. I can't find that. Do they still have them? Are they hidden somewhere? Why can't they find them? Yeah, they're mobile, so you've got to go look for them. But they just can't find them anymore. And what we see a lot of times, we do a physical inventory. And like I said, we'll find 25 to 30% of the equipment on that list that no longer exists. Do we miss a few items, or are they missed? Yeah, because they're mobile through the facility. But if you're carrying, you think you've got 1,000 pumps, you've only got 750 in the facility. That's something that when the Joint Commission comes in and you get audited, that's going to be an issue that they're going to have. As I said, when I sat through that session in 2017 with George Mills from the Joint Commission, now he stated the first thing you need to do, make sure you're going to have an accurate audit, get an inventory of your equipment started there. There are tools out there that you can plug in. Companies will have that you can plug into the network, and they'll identify equipment. They can go out there and sense where they are, where they're connected to the network, if they're transmitting. And that's going to probably get you about 85, 90, 95% accurate on the equipment you got. Or this is talking 100%. There's equipment you've got out there that's not turned on, it's not connected, it's sitting somewhere that you haven't seen. Unbelievable, but you might find a nurse's station that might have some equipment stored in a closet or a locker or something like that. We've gone and asked people to open up a closet for us because we don't have a key, it's not unlocked. We don't, there's nothing in there. San Antonio a few years ago, we were doing inventory. There's nothing in this closet. We need a key to look in there. We need to look at every room. 10 breast pumps, 4 years old, not even on the box. They put them in there, forgot they were in there, never even used them. Speaking with Doug Brown a couple of years ago, he had an article in the TechNation magazine, and basically he's talking about inaccurate databases, poor data management, garbage in, garbage out. The thing I found interesting in there, 78% of hospitals recently surveyed said they would not even use their own data to make sound decisions. They don't even trust their own data. So that's kind of a background why you probably should form an inventory of your facilities. What I want to get into now is get a little more into what, why, where, when, and how. What's typically inventory? That depends on the organization. That depends on what you're tracking, what you're maintaining, and what you feel like you need to accomplish. We've had clients who want every thermometer inventory. What we typically say is $1,000, it's got to cost $1,000 or more, estimated original cost, and you maintain it in your shop. Or if you're doing an asset management system, it doesn't even have to be maintained as long as it's something that you have that's a fixed asset or equipment or major movable equipment. It's not a consumable. If it's overvalued $1,000. And everybody's different. So you need to determine what you're going in inventory, what you need in inventory to make sure your asset list and your CMMS system is accurate. Typical asset classes that are inventory, and that changes on every person I talk to. So And these are things that when you perform your inventory, or decide to have an inventory performed, what asset classes are you going to have inventory? What do you want to track? What's in your current asset list? Where should an inventory be performed? Basically, behind every single door in the facility. Like I said, we found a closet, just a random closet with 10 breast pumps in the closet. Nobody ever looks there. We use, and I recommend this for you, get a floor plan and mark off every single room that you inventory. And if you can't get into a room, highlight it, come back later, or get somebody to open that room for you. Every single door should be open in the facility. See what's behind there. Always, you're going to find mobile equipment moving through the hallways. If you're doing an initial tagging project where you're putting a brand new barcode tag or RFID tag on your equipment, you'll find equipment in the hallways. It's real easy to tell if it's been inventory already without tagging. If you're scanning existing tags and you're walking through a hallway, you're not going to know if you inventoried that piece of equipment up on the 11th floor and now it's down on the 3rd floor in the hallway. You might have already inventoried it. So if you've already got tags on it, get one of those little colored dots or something like that will come off very easily. But put that dot on there next to the tag. That way you know you inventoried that. So if I find 5 beds down the hallway, I've got 3 of them got dots on, 2 that don't, I just have to inventory those 2 instead of inventorying all 5. Every department needs to be inventoried. Every clinic. We talk to people all the time, oh, I've got 3 hospitals that need to be inventoried. Okay. We go out there and inventory 3 hospitals, and they say, well, we've got 3 clinics. What about those? Know what facilities need to be inventoried, where equipment is. Medical office buildings, probably not a lot of equipment out there, but there could be some that you're looking for, maintaining that you need to track. We inventory not just medical equipment, so we might work with the finance side, and inventory every computer, every desk, all the kitchen equipment, things like that. So if you're on the asset management side, that might work, but most of you are on the BIOMED side, so you're looking for your medical equipment. And of course, nurses' favorite hiding places. I've seen, we can typically walk up to a nurse and say, do you have anything in the locker? They just pull it out for us. For you, they may not pull it out because they know you can take it away. We inventoried a client out in California that's kind of when we were there, Kim Kardashian came in having babies. So they got these floors between floors where they bring celebrities in. So that the public can't see them, paparazzi can't see them. I mean, these aren't just like floors between floors that like, you've got your IT equipment and things. These are like full-blown floors on the floors. So between the 4th and 5th floor, there's actually a full floor. The nurses have figured out they can hide all kinds of equipment down because nobody's allowed in there. So the biomeds hardly ever go in there, and they got equipment stashed in there. Our people said they found over 150 pieces of equipment in one floor, just hidden there. When should you inventory? There's actually 2 whens. The first one is when, as far as how often should you inventory. We talked about when you should inventory as far as implementing a CMMS. Got doing commission audit, just don't feel like it. But once you get this inventory completed, the first time, how often do you inventory after that? And that's completely up to you as well. How many unable locates are you getting? How long can you not find any equipment? Maybe you're required to do it every year, or you're required to do it every 5 years. It all depends on your system and what's required. I would recommend spot check. If you're only going to do it every 3 to 5 years, I recommend spot checks going through. Even if your data looks good, you're finding your equipment, I still recommend going through spot check almost monthly or bi-monthly. When you perform the actual inventory, when should you perform the inventory? Recommendations that I would say best practice, if you're most of the hospital during the day, normal working hours, you know, 8 to 5, whatever. Patient rooms, that's the best time. They're usually away, they're sitting there watching TV, whatever, or they're out, you know, having tests performed, things like that. You don't want to go in there at night when they're sleeping, waking them up, things like that. So the best time to do that is during the day. The exception to that, ORs. We walk into a hospital, the first thing we do is set up the time for the ORs, and we do those in the evening or at night. Most of the time, we don't get started until 10 o'clock at night, except when the ORs stop working. Labor and delivery, that's kind of a hit and miss. So a lot of times what we do is we give labor and delivery our phone numbers, and they can contact us, say we don't have anybody down here right now, or we just got two more people, come on down. Cardiac cath labs, those labs that seem to be busy all day and are moving, and people are moving, and equipment's moving, that's as well. But otherwise, everything's kind of where it's supposed to be during the day, and that's fine. We go down to central stores. I recommend going down there 2-3 times a day, down to sterilization, find that mobile equipment while it's stopped in a nice place where it's parked for a while. Who needs an inventory? It doesn't matter if you're a clinic with, you know, 3 rooms, or if you're a 1,500 bed hospital. It doesn't matter who you are. The Joint Commission is still going to look for your equipment. You're still going to want to track your equipment. You don't want to pay taxes on equipment that you haven't had for 5 years. You want to find your equipment, so it doesn't matter how big or how small you are. Who should perform the inventory? This is not a sales pitch, but when you select who needs to perform the inventory, use your in-house people. I don't care. But the people, first of all, they don't need to be BIOMEDs, because I know how shorthanded you people are anyway. If it's people that can identify equipment, know what it is, identify the manufacturing model and serial number, that's what you need to find. These need to be people that are dedicated to completing the interview or the inventory from start to finish. You can't have somebody going out there and inventorying for 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 hours and then getting a call because they've got to go back and work on a piece of equipment, and then it's a week or 2 before they get back out there and start doing the inventory again. I mean, the equipment's moving, the equipment's being disposed of, and if you drag this out forever, it's just going to be a mess anyway. The other thing is, don't send out a team of 15 or 20 people walking through the floor. Send 3 or 4 people, you know, on the floor, get them to kind of mess in with everybody else. You know, you're not recognized. You know, you're not flooding people and bothering the nurses, bothering the patients, and this and that with a whole flood of people. If you're ever at a Walmart or Target or something like that, and they have the inventory going on, and they've got 50 people all over the store, and they're just climbing around like ants, it's very annoying to the customers and workers there. But if you get a small team going around, just 2 or 3 people on the floor, you know, at the most 4, you're hardly even noticed. They should have a good bedside manner, is what we tell them. You know, go in there, they know, you know, you're working around with patients. Patients, you tap on the door, patients say, no, I don't want you to come in right now, and mark that room and come back later. So you need somebody that's got a good bedside manner, working around patients, working around nurses. So now we'll get into best practice. These are just some tips that we run into, that we see every day. For inventory, prior planning. This is huge. Make sure you know what you're going to get, plan everything out before you ever step foot in a facility and start the inventory. I always tell people it's kind of like when the World Trade Center, they started rebuilding the World Trade Center. It was like 6-7 years ago, all it was a hole in the ground. And they were just putting the footings in and things like that. It didn't look like they're getting anywhere. But all that prior planning and what they were doing is setting the foundation for it. And then once that foundation is set, then boom, 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 it goes smooth. It's the same thing with this. If you go out there and you don't know what assets you're getting, what data you're capturing, where you're going to start, where you're going to finish, who's going to do it, and what the format of the report's going to look like at the end, you're going to be all over the place. It'll take 10 times longer to do the inventory than if you just get all that planning done up front. Decide what you're going to inventory. Sit down and meet. Everybody decide what you're going to inventory. You can look at your asset ledger. You can look at your CMMS and see what classes you have in there. Is that everything you want to inventory? Is there more stuff you want to inventory? Is some of that stuff on the ledger you don't even use? No, are you not going to inventory it? You run into facilities all the time. Get out there and start inventory, then they want to ask them, hey, can you get thermometers? Hey, can you get this? Hey, can you get that? You know, and they don't even, and then we get BIOMED tests that maybe with our people, and one facility saying, hey, we need to get this. And the other facility is like, no, we don't need to get that. So have somebody in charge that knows, you know, you can tell the tech is walking you around or just with you or is doing good. You know, this is what we're supposed to be getting. Get it all clarified. Excluded assets. Like I said, stay consistent through the organization. Don't do one facility one way, one facility that way. You know, back when we first started doing this, we would run into that. We get a huge facility, huge organization. One facility's telling us to get this, one facility's telling us not to get it. And, you know, if you're new at that, and you start listening to the people that are telling you that, the people that sign in checks from, you know, right now, then we get ourselves in trouble. Know what data you're going to collect. You know, building, room, department, model, manufacturer, serial number. Just got next PM due date, whatever you can capture on that manufacturer. Know what you're going to collect off each piece of equipment. Have that all laid out, whether you're using scanners, whether you're using spreadsheets, whatever you're using, if you're using iPads, get that all laid out on your device so you can capture that information. Inventory process. I'll talk a little bit about how we do this, how it's worked for us over the years. Whatever works best for you is what works best for you. We get the floor plans per facility. Every floor, we've got highlighters, we've got pens. We start out at the very top of the hospital at the top floor, typically patient rooms, and we walk through each floor, we mark off each room. If we can't get in the room, we're not going to bother people, hey, you need to open this door. We highlight it, come back later. If there's a patient room and you can't get in that patient room because the patient doesn't want you in there, or they're doing a procedure or something of that nature, something's going on, you can't go in there, highlight it, come back later. Then at the end of the day, or the end of the floor, something like that, then find somebody to come back and open all those doors for you. Go a lot quicker than finding every door, hey, I gotta come back, get somebody to open it for me, back and forth. You're gonna be a pain to them, it's gonna take you forever. We work our way down each floor, like I said earlier. The first thing you want to do before inventory is set up times for those places like, you know, critical pharmacies. I need somebody who's going to have to escort me in pharmacy. What time can we come down to the pharmacy? And we'll have the OR set up times after hours to come through there, make sure somebody's going to be available to give you access to those areas, and set those up for off times. Clinics, MOBs, make sure you have points of contact for your facility you're going to inventory so that you can get access to those. Communication and accessing rooms. This is huge for us. We have to have points of contact for everybody, for every department. Make sure they're aware we're coming. Make sure the organization has sent out to all the different departments, the areas, the clinics, the MOBs, that you're going to be coming through and you're going to be performing your inventory. Who to expect there. And then even when you get to the floors or departments, check in with the charge nurses, check in with the department heads. Make sure they understand what you're there for. Make sure they can tell you anything that you need to be aware of. These rooms are, you know, quarantined. You can't go there. This is huge for us right now, going back. Making sure we know where the COVID areas are and things of that nature, so because we can't go in. So as an outsourced resource, we just can't go in there. So we have to work out other things where they can bring us equipment that maybe they're not using in that area that we can capture. Or we've actually had in one location, a VA location, where they went in and took our scanners in. We had to show them how to use it. They went in and used our scanners and brought them back out. But it's a whole different world now dealing with COVID. Like I said, know where those areas are, checking the charge rates. Those change on a daily basis. You might go to the floor one day and there's 4 COVID patients. You go back the next and there's 8. So we just don't know. But communication with every department, with every person, the person in charge of the project is huge. Make sure everybody knows where everybody's at. Data reconciliation. If you've got your current CMMS, you want to match up what I've got, what's missing, what's added, what do I have in a facility that doesn't even belong to us, or we don't even have on our CMMS ledger. And we're running into a lot of that lately too, because of COVID. People getting transferred to other facilities, they're leaving the facility with equipment from one facility, getting to the new facility, and because they're so overwhelmed, that equipment's never getting transported back. We're walking through a facility a couple weeks ago, and there's a piece of equipment there that doesn't even belong to that hospital, it belongs to another hospital, and they've been using it for the last 3 weeks. So, understanding if you're going to reconcile back, make sure what you've got and everything reconciles back, but you've got in your ledger, that you're paying attention to all that model numbers, the serial numbers, the tag numbers. And the funny thing is we were reconciling back, like I said, the tag numbers did not match up with that facility's tag number, a completely different sequential number, and that applies to a different facility. But we didn't recognize at that time that tag numbers had property or something else. We were just scanning the tag numbers. So now we're going to start paying attention to that. Not only scanning the tag numbers, but looking at, does it say property of ABC Hospital, or is it not even yours? Time frame to perform an inventory. Like I said, you want to keep it as short as possible. Now, that might contradict what I said using small teams. So there's a fine, you've got to weigh that, how fast you want to do it, but how many people do you want out there doing inventory. But the more time, the less time it takes to inventory all the facilities and get it completely done is best. Like I said, things are going to be moving around. Things are going to be coming in and out of the hospital, out of facilities. And then personnel who's performing your inventory. So look around in your organization. Who do you want performing your inventory for you? Do you have people available in BIOMED? Obviously, your BIOMED techs are probably the best people to do inventory as far as their knowledge of the equipment, gathering the information you need, but they're available. Maybe you supplement a BIOMED with another person or two from another, someplace else in the hospital. But make sure they've got a knowledge of what the equipment is. Like they don't have to know how to work the equipment, they don't have to know how to repair the equipment. You have to identify it, be able to pull model, manufacturer, serial number off of that. And they need to be available throughout the entire inventory. You start switching up and you put these 10 people on it, and then 2 weeks later you put other people on it and other people on it. Your data is not going to be consistent in the way it's captured. And you're going to spend a heck of a lot of time retraining everybody. Okay, this is what we're getting. This is the data we're capturing. So just kind of lessons learned that we've had. Pre-planning is critical. We don't want to throw people out there. And I'll be honest, we had issues years ago where we'd write up all the specifications. Here's the scope of work. This is what the guys are going to do. And the team goes out there and they're fine. And then the next week, maybe we put a couple more new people on. They don't ever look at the spec sheet. They just start, well, this is the way we've always done it. Well, we have to really stress to people, know what you're supposed to get. So the pre-planning part is extremely critical. Same thing with the communications. It's better to ask questions. It's better to explain to people what they're supposed to get, instead of thinking that they're out there doing what they're supposed to do. And if people inventory, if they think they're not quite sure, they need to clarify. Scheduling your time critical areas, utilizing the floor plans. To us, that's huge. I mean, it may seem bulky to walk around that every room, you got to mark off the rooms I completed it. But when you get done, you've got a floor plan showing out on every room. But these are the only 3 rooms that I wasn't able to capture in the facility because nobody seems to have a key and can't get access there. And then, like I said, if you can get the floor plan on my iPad and mark them off too, that's great. Good bedside manner. Our company also does inventories for school districts. So we're in classrooms where kids are, not anymore, at least right now. But, you know, so smart people have to deal with walking into a classroom while class is going on. They have to deal with walking into a patient room with a patient or dealing with, you're in a neonatal ICU. You got to have a pretty good bedside manner because those people are stressed out. So, the last thing you want to do is barge into a neonatal ICU or an ICU and just act like you think you know what you're doing after you get this equipment. You have to kind of walk into a kid gloves and, be very polite and very nice and where can I get started and things like that. Last but not least, nurses are the world's best porters. We have found more equipment. I explained to you, I told you about the story out of California. The best one we've ever found was, it was unbelievable. We asked the nurse, do you have any equipment here that's in closets and lockers, anything that we can, inventory? And we had literally had one get up on a stool and pull the ceiling tile off and pull equipment down for the inventory. And the reason was that the BIOMED come and take the equipment after we're done with it, and we don't have it available. That's all I really have.